So when you first open up Fusion 360, it's probably going to look something like this. We're going to be getting into this, what is called the data panel, a little bit later on when we get into bringing stuff in from GrabCAD and saving out components from your projects to go and grab later. But for now, all you need to do is just create a new project, and I've created a new one called Demo, and there's nothing in here because we haven't made anything yet. But that's just an easy way to kind of make a project that is self-contained. So if you were going to make, say, a gun or an engine, you could start with a project called Engine, and then you could start modeling components for that engine and have it all nice and tidy in this little section here. And since we're not really in this data panel to grab anything from it, I'm going to go ahead and hide it so we have a little bit more room to play with. So as I was going over how I would want to kind of present Fusion 360, I was contemplating starting with sketches because that's where a lot of the heavy lifting is done in this program, is with sketches. So I thought about doing that, but then coming from a 3D background, I don't mean a CAD background, but a ZBrush, Maya, Max, Modo background, I would assume that a lot of people are going to want to get in here and start making shapes, because that's kind of what you do when you start in 3D. You don't start with a bunch of sketches. Now, that's not to say you shouldn't start with a bunch of sketches, because absolutely you should in this program. It's very, very powerful. But for the new person to 3D, to kind of show you how to navigate and get around the program, I think we'll start with bodies. So, what's a body? If you go up here to the upper left, you have a create area. Now, there's two ways to create just bodies. Basically, you have a body creator, which is, if you click this create down here, you've got a bunch of different, what I guess would you call primitives, and then you've got forms. Now we're going to get into forms a little bit later, but we'll still go ahead and start with bodies. So without clicking this button, if you click create form, you're going to be in kind of form modeling, and then you'll have a bunch of form modeling options available to you. If you don't want to do that, I would go ahead and just click Control Z and just back out of that. Or if you start creating a form in here and you click finish form, it'll go ahead and pop you back out to just the create area, because you didn't actually create a form, so it's not going to put a form over here. So that'll back you out to just this main area here. You also notice we're in the modeling panel here. We'll get into some of the stuff a little bit later on, but for now, most of our work's going to be done in the modeling tab. So create, and I'm going to click this little drop down, and you've got create box, cylinder, sphere, all this good stuff right here. You'll also notice if you roll over this button here, you've got create box right here. So if you have something you use a lot, it'll go ahead and put this up here. Now, there's no hotkey for that, so if you do a lot of creating of boxes, I would go ahead and keep this up here. If you do a lot of creating of cylinders, what you can do is roll over cylinder, and you'll see this little up arrow. You can add that to your toolbar, and now you've got cylinder available to you. If you want to drag this around, you can reposition this. If you decide later on you don't use a whole lot of cylinder creation, just go down here to where it says cylinder and click this X, and that'll remove it from your toolbar. So anyways, let's just go ahead and click this box, and you're going to notice it's going to want to tell you which work plane do you want to drop this box on. Now right now we only have work planes that are relative to the origin, and it's different axes. So we've got a bottom plane, a side plane, and a front plane. So let's go ahead and just drop it on our bottom plane. So how I do that is just select that plane. You don't have to select these little orange things here. You can actually go way out here and just select those planes here, but we'll click that orange plane there. And that's going to give you a temporary sketch. Now don't get too worried about that just now. Just know that it's basically giving you a work plane to go ahead and drop that box on. So to do that, I'm just going to click on this corner here, and then I'm going to click and drag, and it's going to want to drag out a square. So I'm going to go ahead and put this right down the middle, click again, and then it's going to take me out of that kind of half sketch mode and put me into a 3D view mode. So let's talk a little bit about navigation. I'm holding down Alt and middle mouse to pan around. I hold down Shift and middle mouse to rotate here. And that's the basics. Now you can use mouse wheel to zoom in and out. And I think that's all you really need to know about navigating for now. If anything else comes up as we're working, I'll certainly bring that up. So we've placed the box, and now it's going to give us an option for height. So with height, we can go ahead and pull these up. If you want to change the dimensions, you can click these and go ahead and move these in or out. But for now, we'll just go ahead and pull it up to like 25 millimeters. Once we're done, we need to go over here to the box, option box, and click OK. And that's going to give us a new body. So you'll notice that when we were dragging out this box and kind of orienting it and setting up its initialized state, basically, we had a sketch area over here that went ahead and disappeared. That was a temporary sketch that just shows up when you're creating new bodies. So we'll get into sketches later, but for now, what happened is we created a box, dragged it out on our work plane, gave it a little bit of height, and now we've got a little body section over here. So if I click this little down arrow, you're going to see we have body 1. If you want to rename this thing, you can double click it, and let's go ahead and select all that text, and we'll name this box. So now we've got a box. Now you can select this box by going over here to the bodies and clicking box. You can click off your box. You can click a component of your box, and if you double click the box, it'll select the whole body. So there's a couple different ways to select. And before we get too far, what I'm going to do is modify this box just a little bit. So we're going to be getting into a lot of modifications, but the first one we're going to do is push-pull. And if you go up here, so we have the create, and this is where we create our box and our form. If we go to modify here, if you click this down, here's a bunch of modifications you can do to the bodies that you create. And the first one we're going to talk about is push-pull, which coincidentally is also up here. And just like when we were over here in the create panel, and you could create a box, if you do something a lot, you can actually go here, and because push-pull, I guess apparently a lot of people use a lot, it's moved up here. If you want to move, like, say, fillet, you can roll over fillet, and you're going to get this little up arrow. You can add fillet up here if you want to. But because fillet has a hotkey, if you roll over that, and you'll see that the hotkey for fillet is F, what you can do is you want to remove that, just roll over it, click this X, and that'll take it off your toolbar. So we've got push-pull here. You can go down here to modify push-pull. You can just click this button because it's thrown up here by default, or you can right-click in your panel and you'll see that push-pull is right here. So push-pull is used an awful lot. So let's go ahead and just right-click, choose push-pull, and what you can do is it's going to give you an option for push-pull, or I'm sorry, press-pull. And you can click any of these. I'm going to click this one here, and we pull it. We can pull this face out, and then we can hit OK. If we want to do it to another face, we can right-click and repeat push-pull, and it's also right here, and it's also up here. So we'll just repeat that, click this side, go ahead and drag this out, hit OK, and so you can kind of push and pull your faces of your object around.